My name is Kristen,
I'm Austin.
and today we're going to talk to you guys about registering voters. North Carolina just updated the voter registration form for 2018. And what with election laws changing these days, it can get a little confusing. So let's start with the form.
So there are a few required things in sections 1, 2, and parts of 3 and 4. Section 1 asks if the person is a U.S. citizen and will be 18 years old by election day. If they check no to either of those, kindly take the form out of their hands because they are not yet eligible to vote.
Now for Section 2. Section 2 asks the person to write down their full legal name, that is first, middle, and last name, as well as if they are a junior, senior, or the third. Pretty easy, right? But this is important information that the Board of Elections has to have, and they will also ask you to write down your birth date in Section 3.
Section 3 asks for either a North Carolina driver's license or ID number, or the final 4 digits of the person's social security number. If they can provide both, that's fine, but we only need one. Also, if they can't provide either, that's okay too, we can still get them registered, but they'll receive a letter from the Board of Elections stating that they need to provide some form of identification when they go out and vote for the first time.
Section 4 is the residential address, or as I like to call it, the home address. Where are you currently living? This information has to be fully and clearly written out. Why is it so important? Well, the Board of Elections has to designate a voting precinct for the person registering to vote, right? Right. So you have to make sure that the person you're registering fully and completely writes out their entire address. That means the apartment, lot, or unit number, the street name, the city, the state of North Carolina, of course, the zip code, and the county that they're living in. And they should also note whether or not they have been living there for 30 days or more, because in order to vote in a precinct, you have to have been living there for at least a month.
It's also really important to update this information if or when it changes. In order to make sure your vote counts and can't be challenged, you have got to keep your address updated. There's a part of Section 4 designed for those who don't have a physical address, like people who are homeless and living on the street. They can provide an address for where they live or sleep and must provide a valid mailing address. Section 5 is the voter's mailing address. This only needs to be filled out if they receive mail at a place other than their residential address. So the person has to put down a residential address. And if they receive mail at a P.O. box or something like that, they must put down a mailing address as well. It's really important that both of these are valid because that's how the Board of Elections will verify their registration.
Now let's take a look at Section 6. Section 6 is completely optional. The Board of Elections just wants to get some demographic information here, so they're going to ask you about your race, ethnicity, and your gender. We encourage you guys to fill that out, but again, it is completely up to you.
Section 7 asks about party affiliation. Now this party affiliation thing, please do not under any circumstance suggest that a person register for any particular party. You can, however, provide information about elected officials from parties. For example, you might say President Obama was a Democrat and President Bush was a Republican. The voter registration form offers 5 parties for which North Carolinians can register. This includes the Democratic Party, Republican Party, Libertarian Party, Green Party, and Constitution Party. If a voter chooses not to register under any particular party, they will be listed as unaffiliated. Unaffiliated voters choose which primary ballots they want to vote on. So, an unaffiliated voter will choose the Democratic primary ballot, Republican primary ballot, or that for any other party. There's also an unaffiliated primary ballot, which only lists nonpartisan races, like bonds and other ballot measures.
Section 8 is where you can list your previous voter registration address or name. This makes it easier to cancel your old registration, and it helps the Board of Elections with their record keeping. Even if the person that you're registering can't remember their previous address, it is important that they write down whatever they can remember, such as the city or the county. Section 9 pertains to the voter's phone number. Now, personally, I don't like to put my phone number on forms because I don't like people calling me, but I do write it down for the Board of Elections. This is so that if there's an issue with the voter registration form, they can reach out to you immediately to correct it.
Now, this last part of the section is the voter's signature. The voter must sign and date the form on their own. You can help them with any other part of the form if they want you to, but they must do this by themselves. This is because it attests that all the information on the form is correct to the voter's knowledge. If the voter signs the form knowingly with false information, they can be charged with a Class I felony. So this is a serious document, and we want to be sure that everything is 100% correct. Bottom line, the more information that's on the form, the better it is for everyone.
Hopefully now you guys know a little bit more about voter registration, and maybe you can host a voter registration drive or register yourself or your friends. If you have any questions, please reach out to Democracy North Carolina at the phone number or the email address on the screen. Thanks for listening.